Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the truck. We're on our way to Michigan. Thought I would bring a video to you guys today going into the weekend. We've got this time of the year, obviously everybody is finishing up with the deer season, and you know, I'm trying to release as many videos as we possibly can to help you guys stay ahead of your chore list, if you will. And what we're, going into this weekend, I thought maybe what I would start doing is especially when I'm busy, maybe not do some fancy edited, videos, but do some straight talk videos going into the weekend, kind of some pointers to help steer some folks, so we don't get too far along without, making the right proper steps. And one of the topics that we're going to talk about, or the topic that we're going to talk about today, the first initial habitat improvement a lot of folks want to make is all related and around that term bedding, like we always speak of, and as the channel grows and as you guys follow, you'll really notice that what I try to do is I try to make it very clear, and we try to separate the terminology or the wordage when we're talking about doe bedding versus buck bedding. So this weekend's projects, when you enter the woods, if you're in a state other than like Kentucky where the season's still going and we're trying to take advantage of right down to the wire, if you're in one of those areas where the weather might permit you to get out this weekend, first thing I encourage you to do is don't enter the woods with the chainsaw. So in other words, leave the chainsaw at home this weekend, enter the woods, and take your field notes with you. Take your maybe your phone or your laptop or whatever that is that you store your trail camera photos on throughout the year, and take that out there with you. If you got to go to the box blind, guys, sit in the box blind, reminisce about how things happened, how those deer were moving. Crawl up in that tree stand, be safe, obviously, have your harness and stuff with you. Don't just because you're not hunting, don't get lax on that. But crawl up in there and reminisce about how things were going first. And what I find that does, just an initial walk, putting your boots on the ground, you're pretty much doing what I'm doing when I'm entering your property for the first time. It's kind of a way this time of the year that I find it's a way. I do this on my own personal properties, hence the reason I'm bringing this video to you. But I find it's a kind of a refresher. It's a start in the right direction for you to kind of maybe say, yeah, my thoughts on this that I was thinking from the house are right, or no, this isn't going to work, the way I thought it was going to. So the points that were, so that's the first, topic here. The first point: leave your chainsaw at the cabin or the house. The second point that we're going to talk about today here, guys, is just, looking into those bedding areas and really researching. We've got a video coming here about talking about, what really is a sanctuary, and the power of not just setting a 10 acres aside on a 40. And just because you don't go in there and don't put pressure in there doesn't mean that it's a bedding area, right? So if you have one of those, I recommend that you go in and you start really dissecting that area, find out what's in there, what's not in there, what's missing. And the power that you're going to have right now, guys, by going in this time of the year, is it's immediately following the hunting season or the fall. You're still looking at those fall movements from about a week. In some areas here, the UP of Michigan is already experiencing this. New Hampshire might already be experiencing this. Northern Maine, stuff like that. The deer are already on their winter patterns, and they're maybe moving into deer yards. So a lot of that travel can be deceiving. But when you're looking at deer travel patterns, and if it's going to yards, you'll know, because it's like, it's like finding a caribou trail. The migration trail is pretty strong. So when you enter those areas that you thought that you've been holding on to for years, and treating ever so gently, Now's the time to be invasive, guys. Now's the time to get in there before you make any improvements and really figure out, is that area holding what you thought it was, or is there a better way in a better plan to put in motion? So this video is coming at you for, like I said, the kind of strategies here going into the weekend to just help some folks maybe not make some wrong mistakes right off the bat. A playlist, or you go back on the playlist, a week ago I made that worst first video, and it resonated with a bunch of people, and I knew it would, because it is one of those deals where you got to put your best foot forward, but it's sure important to have your first steps right going into that. Decisions can be a make or break. You can have a lot of cleanup, going in the rest of the season instead of continuing on a habitat creation plan. We don't want to get to the end of it and be spending a bunch of your money that you wanted to use to hunt other states or travel or spend with the family on the hunting during the off season of the hunting season, or whatever the case is. So just go in and survey that. And the third topic here, guys, that I just made a mental note to try to talk about today is the browse itself. Go in, and we're going to be doing some studies here or some videos on the study of the importance of browse. Hinge cut areas that you did last year. How did stuff react that you haven't been in since you've created it last year, such as hinge cuttings. If you put any pockets in, bedding pockets, if you did any doe bedding, any of those doe bedding improvements, adjacent to your food sources, if that was on your first chore list or that first to-do list that I had give you when I was there at the property, or that you had laid out for yourself, go in there. Your browse should be, unless it was done in the heat of the year, your browse should have reacted. You should have had plenty enough time for them deer to react to that, that new growth, that regeneration, before the winter months set in and the fall months set in, and they should have been able to start using that. One thing I encourage you to focus on is, if you did get caught in the trap of high hinge cuts, look at where those hinge cuts are. What are they feeding? Are they, is it giraffe height, or is it whitetail height? And I sadly, there's a lot of controversy on that goes around the country, but if you do a high hinge cut, and then this time of the year you go in and you find that area in all your regeneration, other than near the stump where you let the sunlight took the canopy away from the stumpage, it might be regenerating there, but a lot of it on that foliage that's coming off, or that regeneration that's coming off the top of those logs, or those vertical shoots, you need those at deer head height. And them high hinge cuts, not only are they dangerous, they're a waste of a lot of valuable mass that we need this time of the year, especially if you're tuning in from any northern regions and we're trying to feed deer and trying to reach those. Upwards of 90% of a deer's intake is woody browse, as you've heard me talk. Down at the farm down in Kentucky, it's not near as important, or it's strong, but we're still 75% of a deer's intake in central Kentucky is still woody browse. Well, 75% of an intake, guys, is huge. So tie that in when you're walking this weekend. Tie that in with your look at your plots. How good are your plots? Could your plots, if there's a lot of tonnage left in your plots, maybe it's because the habitat or the browse isn't matching the near that your habitat isn't correct, and you're not holding near the deer that you thought you were. So a couple of points there, guys, that I just wanted to bring to you. Like I said, going into the weekend, it's something that I see a lot this time of the year, as we're talking, just seeing some deer here along the road. So they're back on their feeding patterns, and we're getting out in the woods and reacting, kind of making a plan, and setting those footprints, those plans for those footprints going into the habitat season here. And like I said, one thing I guess we'll touch on here before we wrap this one up the myth that's out there is the habitat season is January through March, and that couldn't be further from the truth. If you get out there now and you do this studying, maybe you're gonna set yourself back a weekend from having the saw in your hand, but it'll be way money well spent, if you will, time well spent, and you can stretch those improvements out, creating those improvements all the way until if your season opener is September, you can run it till August. If your season opener is October, you can run it till September. August is a super great month to do this stuff in. So don't think that your timeline is cut short just by trying to enter the woods, not entering the woods this weekend with the chainsaw in hand and immediately go into cutting timber, because the truth is, guys, your property might be one of the properties where you don't need the chainsaw. Maybe one of your properties, one of the properties that needs, it needs the mulcher in there. So just a weekend, video. Like I said, no fancy edits, just straight talk, me to you. Maybe this is the one you just turn on, on the radio going down the road, just as a refresher going into the weekend. And these are kind of, when I'm on the road, I don't have a built library yet that I'm able to pull from. When the lodge is done, we will have a kind of a storage toolbox full of videos that'll be edited and ready to upload. But for right now, we're doing them as we go, and I think that's important to keep everybody on track and give everybody some great information and great ideas going into the start of the 2022 habitat season, whitetail habitat season here, you guys. So any questions, feel free to reach out, guys. We do have some spots left attached to some dates all over the country. So if you're still looking for someone to help, feel free to reach out. And if we can't get to you this year, we can definitely get you on the books for 2023 already, and be ahead of the schedule going into next year, ahead of the process going into next year. So have a good weekend, guys. Stay safe. Leave the chainsaws at home, maybe, unless your design and your creation is already in progress. Leave the chainsaws at home. Get out there and do some investigating, some research first. Thanks, guys.